Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and today we are doing an art stream, acrylic painting. And to follow up on the theme from yesterday, hello Crixano, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. Yesterday we did a still life, and today I'm going to continue with a still life, but what we're going to be doing actually is pretty cool. We're going to learn how to build up a painting so that things look more realistic. All right, so just to go over the supplies like I normally do, I've got a palette and a palette knife for mixing. I have a canvas 9x12, and I just use canvas board, so you can see it's much thinner than a regular canvas. But it's nice for me because I do these weekly, so these stack up. So if they were any thicker, I'd have a big stack, which I do already. So I do the canvas board, but you can do a regular canvas as well. Paper towels, which we will be needing quite a bit of today. We're going to be doing some cool techniques. I put paper down on my desk so that it doesn't get messy because acrylic is permanent, so that's important. I've got my water, and then I've got my brushes and my paint. So the brushes that I have, this is a 3/4 wash brush. Also, you could, if you were to look in the store, you would see either size 10 or 12 filbert would be this size. This is a size 6 round brush. It's called round because it's got the point. These are the two brushes I use for all of my classes, including my watercolor, so they're handy to have. All right, so I have, for paints, I've got red, yellow, and blue. This is a phthalo blue, naphthol crimson, and cadmium yellow medium. However, if you were to go to, like, say, Walmart and buy a tube of paint that looks kind of like this, you know, where it's called simply white, I think is what they call their colors. Simply white, simply red, simply yellow, you know, whatever. That's fine for my class. What's most important is that it's in the tubes and that it's not this kind of acrylic paint. This kind of acrylic paint is too watery. It's called craft paint, and so that is not the correct kind. You want the kind in the tube because they're thicker. Okay. I also have, in addition to red, yellow, and blue, the primary colors, I have a brown, and I use burnt umber, but again, simply brown is fine. And then I am out of my normal Liquitex. I prefer Liquitex. Sorry, I've got things falling on the side here. Let's just move some things. All right. But I'm out of it right now, and for some reason they're on back order. I don't know why, but titanium white is on back order. So I've got, I happen to have some of this on hand. This is Master's Touch, which is, I think, like a lower quality. I mean, like, this was $3.99, whereas my Liquitex paint is like $17 for the same size tube. So it's definitely a different quality of paint, but it's fine. For what we use it for in here, mixing paint, you don't need like super high quality as long as it is tube paint. That is key. Okay, so white and brown and your primary colors. That's what you need. Now, today we're going to start with a wash. Now, have your paper towel ready because we're going to use this to actually draw. I know that sounds weird, but we're going to start with yellow, and we're going to do a yellow wash on the whole painting. So I'm going to go ahead and put some yellow out there. I'm going to get a little bit of water. Now, when you're first putting your brush into the water, I like to push it down on the bottom, and that gets all the little air bubbles out. You can see those bubbles coming to the surface. And that just helps make it so that you don't have paint that clusters in places. I'm going to put some water right into the middle. Now, I just got a little bit on my canvas. I'm just going to dab that. So you put some water right into the middle. And all I'm doing is just wiping it on the side, just like I do in watercolor. Then I'm going to pick up a little bit of my yellow paint and just mix it in there. And this is going to make a wash. Oops, it's spilling into... Now, I picked up a little more paint than I wanted, so I'm just going to wipe the rest in there. And then clean off my brush, because I really want this to be a wash. I don't want to have... See how there's some yellow that got stuck on there? You want to make sure that you get that off, so you just pretend like you're painting the bottom of the cup or whatever it is that you have water in. I'm going to wipe it. Let's wipe it off. Okay, we are going to use our wash on the whole canvas. You can see I'm already getting yellow on the paper behind it. So it's a good thing we have it, because I do not want that on my desk. So we're putting a wash on the entire thing. Did you post your stream to Handmade? I did not this time. I actually made a conscientious effort to do that because I don't really get a lot of traffic from Handmade. And so I just didn't today. I mean, you're welcome to post if you would like. That would be cool. But you don't have to. Maybe once I start doing more digital art classes, I'll get a little bit more traffic. I just don't think that people from Handmade are really very interested. You know, it happens. But thank you. That's very nice. Okay, so I've got the wash on here, and before it dries, I want to, and what's nice about the wash is it makes it kind of uneven in parts, and that's what we want. So before it dries, I'm going to take my paper towel, and I'm going to go ahead and get my shapes going. So I forgot to show you the reference photo. I'll show you after this. I want to get this before it dries. But we've got an apple shape like here. And we've got behind it one of our oranges. And if you need to get a little bit of water, you can. And let's see. And we've got another orange shape over here. And this one is like kind of a half, it's like an orange half. And then we've got our bowl. Now, in the reference painting, which I'm going to show you here in a minute, the bowl, like the apples and oranges are like weirdly outside of the bowl. I don't really understand the reference painting. I think it's not a very good reference, personally. So I'm just going to make my own shape. So with my fruit inside the bowl. IRL rendering. Oh, dude, you should. That's hilarious. I totally should do that as like a keyword. IRL rendering. I love that. See, you are good at naming things. You mentioned before you weren't good at naming things, but that's pretty funny. Okay, so what I did for the plate was I just did like a rounded shape, like kind of an oval shape, and then I did my stuff inside of it. There we go. So I didn't really plan this, so it's going to be a little bit left of center, which is fine. I think in the original photo it is as well. But see, we already destroyed an entire paper towel. I'm going to hang on to it because there's a little bit more, but, well, maybe not. Hold on. Maybe I'll just wipe up this yellow here. Because we don't need the rest of that wash. All right. So this is going to dry, and we want to let this dry a little bit. But the good thing about a wash is that once it does start to dry, it dries pretty quickly. I guess it depends on how wet it is, but you want it to dry, and how you know is that when you look at it from different angles, you don't see the shininess. All right, let's go ahead and get our next colors out. So we're going to be doing some blue, red, and brown. So blue. Sorry, you guys can't see this because it's in my picture. Blue, red, and brown. Brown. And all I'm doing is about 2 dollops worth, like 2 pea-size amounts worth of those colors. All right, I need to wet my the smaller brush. We're going to be working with both brushes, so keep this handy. But the smaller brush, we're going to actually outline our fruit, so we have a really clear picture of where we want everything. So what I did is I wet my brush, and I'm going to come in here and right at the edge just pick up a little bit. The reason I'm doing it at the edge is because it allows it to mix the water with just a little bit of it, so it makes it more fluid. All right, so we've got our apple, which I've got kind of on its side. And that goes down into the bowl. Then I've got my orange half over here. I've got my orange half in the background. Now this has like a circle, and then it's got, goes down behind the apple, and then it's got like a kind of a little slice there on the left. And actually my apple I could make a little bigger. We're going to be painting over it anyway, so. So it's okay if your lines are a little thick in places, it's not a problem. There. All right. Now we're going to do the cool part. So it should be pretty dry in the background. We're going to take our brush, get some water on it, and I'm going to start with my blue. You can start with any color that you want. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start with my brown. I changed my mind. Oh, you know what? I promised I would show you the reference photo. Let me show you that real quick before I move any farther and start getting things wet. I'm going to bring up. So if you go see my Discord here at the bottom of my screen, you can type in that link, or you can click the Discord button that's down below, and that will take you to my Discord. Everyone is welcome to join. this is called Art Share. It's where you can share your art, whether it's following me, when you do the drawings or paintings, or if it's my crochet classes, or if you just want to share your own artwork. I have a couple artists that don't actually follow my classes, but they still share their artwork there. So you're welcome to join. The other thing that's there is my reference photos. So I'm going to pull that up and show you. Well, all right, there we go. So this is the server, and you come in here, there is a channel called reference photos. This is what we're doing today, but see how the apple is like sitting really weirdly over the side? That's just weird. They would sit in the bowl, right? So we're going to have ours sitting in the bowl. I don't like this reference photo. I don't think it was well done. I think they could have just made the bowl rim a little wider and it would have been fine. But anyway, enough criticizing the person who did this. I think it's fine for what we needed. I mean, the fruit itself looks very realistic. So I think that it's a good reference photo in that way. But, all right. So that's the thing. You can see the reference photos by going to my Discord. All right, now let's go ahead. I've got water on my brush. I'm going to pick up some brown, and you do the same thing that you did with the yellow, where you just come in the side. You don't stick your brush directly into the paint. You come in the side and just mix some water with a little bit of paint right at the edge. Now this we don't want to be a wash. We want it to be, have a little bit of pigment in it. So I made sure that there was some in there. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint some on here. Then I'm going to wash off my brush, come pick up some blue. And I'm trying, like, as I get close to the fruit itself, to be pretty careful. And the plate. Okay, I'm going to wash off my brush. I'm going to pick up some red. Notice I left that brown in the corner there. Check this out. Oops, I accidentally didn't have enough blue off. Just gonna mix that. I'm just gonna mix that. So we're gonna start getting like some really interesting colors, and we're gonna be going back and forth between our colors. So this is like a layering technique where you can get like really interesting colors, like for a background or something like that. Now I accidentally mixed a little blue in my red. I'm gonna try to get some of that out. All I did was pick up some water, and I'm just wiping on that. So over here, I'm going to do red first. Order of the color isn't necessarily a thing, but because it does create the layering effect, it can definitely make it look a little bit different. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of brown. And I'm not going in a specific order. I'm not even really thinking about it. Just kind of. What the brown does is the brown darkens up the colors a little bit. And see, like, you can almost not even tell what it's doing here. And I'm just doing short, quick brush strokes. Now I'm going to pick up some blue. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I like this. This is a pretty fun technique. This is a little more like watercolor. So now I'm adding the blue in here. And see how this looks different than over here. Like it mixed differently. So, you end up getting like a pretty interesting variety of color. Yeah, I mean, I probably picked up different amounts too of my colors. All right, let's see. So what we're doing, the reason I'm doing these specific colors is that our fruit has a very yellow look to it. Well, guess what? The opposite of yellow on the color wheel is purple. And so I am making kind of a purplish background. And then that will actually make our fruit stand out even more. All right, let's see if we can outline some of our stuff here. Because I keep getting really close to it and I don't want to paint over it. So I'm just very carefully coming in here. And trying to get on my edges. So I'm just going to use some of this blue. I don't think I've put blue down first. So I'm just going to come in here with some blue. My camera, for some reason, is not showing you everything. There we go. I'm just going to paint this whole bottom part with the blue. And you kind of want to do this while this is still wet, right? So notice that I'm not waiting for it to dry or anything like that. And I'm also not being picky about how much paint I put down. Like, it's different. Like, over here was less paint, over here is a little more paint. Okay. Whoops. That still had a lot of blue on it, so I'm trying to wash that off. I'm probably gonna have to clean my water here because so now I'm putting red down because when we go to do these lighter colors, I don't want dirty water. That definitely will give it like kind of a dull tint. We don't want that. Now this is the one time when technically your paint stroke, it doesn't really matter. Like normally I tell you guys to, you know, keep your stroke going the same direction, blah blah blah, and that is important most of the time. But this time it's not, because we want it to have like kind of a suede like look. I'm going to show you how to do that. You can actually do this with paint like in your house. If you were, say you were painting a wall and you wanted it to have kind of a suede look, you put a color down first, whatever color you want. I like red personally. And then you do little crisscrosses over it, like little X, 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 like that. And what ends up happening, I'm going to get a little brown paint. Because I didn't do any brown down here. What ends up happening is you get this really interesting like blend, and it looks like suede. I don't know what to tell you, but how it works, but it does. I've done this with whole rooms in my house before. I really like this finish. So this is a finishing technique. That's what that's called. Now I did accidentally paint a little purple over my yellow. That's okay. I mean, we can paint over it, but it's just a lot harder. You know how when you're trying to paint something a lighter color, you end up having to do more coats. We'll probably just have to do a few more coats right in that section, but that's okay as long as it's not the whole thing. That's why we did the wiping off rather than just painting everything first and then painting our stuff. Now, this is a pretty decent amount of paint. So I am going to probably, I can't tell how well it's drying, but I don't think very well. So I may use a hair dryer and just dry some of this off. Let's see. I think I want a little bit more. What color do I want? A little more blue, maybe. So now I'm doing my X's. So I'm just doing little crisscrosses. Crisscross, crisscross, just like that. There's a little more blue over here than I like. I think the paint wasn't as thick in that section. And that was where I started, so that makes sense. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of red. I'm going to make sure that my brush is pretty dry, so I'm going to wipe it off first. And that will cut down a little bit on some of this extra paint that I'm getting. Like it's just looking really watery. Oops. I haven't even used my palette knife yet. We've been doing everything just straight from the color. All right. I don't know, for a little touch of drama, I'm going to probably make just a little bit more red down in this corner. Maybe to balance, I might put a little bit coming this way. So now I'm slowing down and just doing my X's. Criss, cross. I might put a little red up here. That was more red than I intended, but that's okay. We're not being super specific with the background. Just a little touch over here. There. I like it. Putting just a tiny bit down here, but just for balance. So you can't really see it that well, but if you look at angles, you can see all the mix of colors in there. And it does look pretty cool. I am a big fan of this kind of painting. You just end up getting a lot of really cool stuff. Okay. If you want to practice that, you can always get, I don't think I have one right here, but I've got like canvases where I've painted things before and then decided I didn't like it, or maybe I had a friend that had extra canvas or something and you know there was painting on it. You know, don't throw paintings away like if you don't like them or whatever. You can always reuse the canvas because you can always paint over it. Now if it's an oil painting, that's a little different. You can only paint oil over oil. Acrylic will just peel off eventually. But as long as it's acrylic, watercolor, anything like that, you can actually paint over it. So never throw stuff away. Okay, look at this water. It's really gross. So I will be right back. I'm just going to go switch the water. I'm just going to put my BRB screen on. You guys can listen to some nice witness music here. And I will be right back after I get some water. I'm back. Okay, so I have some clean water, and hopefully this has dried a little bit. It has not, but It's actually pretty dry around the edges that I'm going to be doing, so it's fine. We'll just continue letting it do its thing. In the meantime, we are going to mix an orange. So now we can go ahead and get our palette knife out. And I am going to get some of my yellow. And since I'm going to be using a decent amount of orange today, I'm going to just put this over here in its own well. Normally I'd mix in the center, but since we're going to be using quite a bit, then I'm going to put it over here. Okay. I'm going to wash off my palette knife because I don't want to contaminate my red. I mean, my red's already been contaminated plenty. So I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of red. Now, red goes a really long way. And we're trying to mix a medium orange. So medium value. So I'm not going to get as much red to start with. And we'll just see what color we get. We can always add more. So medium value, like if you think about, let me see, I have a color wheel. I wonder if it's got values on it. I bet it does. I'm going to go grab that after I'm finished mixing this orange. That is still a light value. If you think about a gradient, like from white to black, where you've got gray in the middle, I always just squint, and you can kind of tell, like if you look at your palette and squint, you can tell which family usually that it's in. Let's see. Okay, so here is my, oh, it has a little bit of a gradient on it. Okay, so here's the gradient here. So this is my color wheel. Starting with black, going to white. So you can see, like if we look at this on here, this falls probably right about here, like value 7. So this is the value. I want this to be more like a 5 or a 6. Probably 5. So we're going to add a little more red. So I'll pick up some more red and I just come in here. If it helps, medium value usually is like the color of your crayons. Like if you remember the 8 colors of crayons you had growing up, that's a medium value usually. Now, of course, your black and like blue and purple would be dark value in that. Well, no, actually, even the blue is a medium value in there. It doesn't look like a medium value, but when you color with it, it's a medium value. Yeah, this is a good medium value. We want just right in the middle. Okay. So I'm going to wipe this off. And I'm going to put my color wheel away because I don't need it. I don't need it. All right. Oh, I need my small guy. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to paint all 3 of our fruits this color. So I'm coming in and I'm just getting a little bit of paint on my watery brush. And then we're going to paint the whole thing. You can paint right over your lines. It's not a problem. So when I get to my edges, I make sure to go right up to them. Now remember, I had this little section here. It's covering pretty well, but I am going to have to do a second coat on that when this is dry. Whenever you start doing what's called dry brushing, that's where, like, see how in this area here, you can see like the white of the canvas through the paint. It's because it was starting to drag and catch on the surface of the canvas, and you don't want that. So when it starts doing that, you just add a little bit more water and it just kind of gets it to be more fluid. Okay, now I know that I'm doing all of these this orange color, so they're going to blend together, but I am trying to stay with my shapes. That will help later. Like instead of just painting a line right into the apple, I'm trying to keep my shapes here. Okay. Get a little more water. Get some more paint. I'm going to paint this orange. Starting to dry brush a little bit, so I'll just pick up a little more water. When it's more fluid, it just flows a lot easier too, and that makes it nice. Now we've got our bowl that's kind of cuts this off. All right, and last we have our apple. My mom was saying how the Challenger launch she watched as a kid made her not want to become an astronaut. Now that's interesting. I used to want to be an astronaut when I was probably about 6. I don't know when that changed. I mean, I still think space is pretty awesome. But I was just telling one of my friends today that I don't know. It's just, I guess I just don't find it as exciting anymore as I did when I was a kid. Like when I was a kid, man, launching the shuttle was really cool. And I don't know. It's just not as cool to me anymore. It's not like it's not cool at all. It's just, I just don't really find it that interesting anymore. So maybe, I mean, I got to see one live at Cape Canaveral when I was little. I want to say I was about 7, so I don't know which one it was. I'd have to ask my mom and dad. They might remember which one we saw. But it was cool. I remember wearing special glasses. And I remember there's like a countdown timer. I remember standing like on this bank, like we were kind of far away. We were standing on, I mean, this is what I remember. The problem is that I could be wrong. You know, memories are very inaccurate. But I remember standing on like kind of a grassy area and watching like from a distance. I've also seen stuff up close because, you know, I've been to the Kennedy Space Center a bunch. I mean, for me, like a bunch is like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times. That's a lot for a kid that didn't live in Florida, you know. I actually haven't been to the Johnson Space Center. Interestingly, even though I lived in Houston for 2 years, I never went to the Johnson Space Center, which I should because I'm like in some way related to the guy that Mission Control is named after. I'm not directly related to him, but my brother-in-law is his grandson, so kind of related. But his name is Christopher Kraft. He actually just passed away, I think last year. Very sad, but he was old, you know, he's in his 90s, but a cool dude, very cool. I did get to meet him, which is pretty awesome. But he is the original director of, I don't know if he was director of Mission Control or if he was over like all of the NASA stuff that was going on during the I would need to find out more information. I had his book, but I actually ended up giving it to one of my teachers. It was a signed copy. So and it was my astronomy teacher, and that was like his idol. So I thought, you know, he would really like this book. So it was pretty cool. But anyway, yeah. So it probably would have been pretty cool to hang out with him more and talk to him. I guess my sister has told me that like when they were having breakfast, like, you know, someone who was previously an astronaut would like walk up and shake hands and they'd sit there and chat for a little bit, you know. So and like my sisters met Buzz Aldrin and stuff, which, you know, that's pretty cool. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know. I'm not like a celebrity kind of person where I'm like, ooh, over celebrities, you know. But if I were going to be, he'd be the kind of celebrity I'd over. You know. I mean, He was in charge of all our missions to space, man. All the lunar ones anyway, like all the Apollo missions. Like he was with NASA before it was NASA. It's pretty chill. Pretty cool. Okay, so we've got our orange down. Now we're going to mix. Let's see. We're going to start doing layering. Like this is how we're going to get like interesting color. All right, so we're going to mix a little bit of titanium white into this orange. So I'm going to use my. Let's see. Excuse me. A little sneeze. I don't want to put the white directly into it. I'm going to put the white next to it because I don't want to put too much. But we're going to take a little bit of our white and just mix it directly into this orange. Anyway, needless to say, while the SpaceX launch is cool, I don't know. It's just not like it's not as exciting as it was when I was a kid, I guess. For me. You know, everybody's different. The only time you ever heard the word chill and whack was when you met us. Yeah, that's funny. Well, whack I've heard before, but I've never really used. Chill I use a lot. But yeah, whack I don't. I mean, I use it now. Schwa uses it a lot. SchwaDev, for anybody who's interested in watching programming, SchwaDev is one of my favorite streamers. He's pretty awesome. Okay, so here's what we're going to do with this lighter color. You've heard of them, you just didn't use them, yeah. Well, you know, that's the thing. We pick up stuff that we hear around us, and so the more you're exposed to something. All right, so we're going to do this lighter color on the inside of the orange. And I'm trying to get the entire disc because this is actually going to be lighter, even though we're going to do some stuff on the inside of this. This is going to be a highlighted portion of the orange, so that's what we're doing, is we're highlighting it. So right now we're just building up color. There. All right, now I'm going to do the same thing. There's a thing where you tend to use the same terminology around certain people to match their language. You just read about this in your linguistics book. Very cool, yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense from an evolutionary perspective that we would pick up other people's speech patterns because it makes people more comfortable and it helps you fit in better. And so as social animals, it makes sense. All right, so same thing. I'm kind of going all the way to the edge. Now I did have a little part on the side here and I forgot about it, so I'm gonna try to scoop some of this up. Remember I had that little section on the side here? That's what I'm trying to get to because I don't want to paint over it. Let's see if I have any more. Well, that's not working out so great. I'm just going to mix a little bit of red and yellow back in there and see if I can recreate that darker orange. Maybe I shouldn't have used all of it, huh? There we go. It's a little better. The inside's going to be considerably darker, so I'm not terribly worried. I mean, lighter. I don't know why I said darker. Okay. let's continue. But yeah, speaking in other people's speech patterns is very useful. I naturally do it. I just pick up other people's accents or whatever. It doesn't matter who I'm talking to. I can be talking to someone who doesn't speak English as a first language, and I'll pick up their accent. I can't help it. Now, I mean, I actively try not to, because I think some people probably would think I was like making fun of them or something, which I'm not, you know, but anyway. Okay, I'm going to wipe this orange here in the middle. I just made a mess of things. All right. Code switching. Ah, interesting. Well, that's an interesting term. All right, so now I'm picking up my lighter color, and I'm going to come in the apple. Now, the apple, I'm not doing all of it. I'm just going to be doing some, like, highlighted sections. So I'm just kind of doing, like, these streaky... these like kind of streaky I'm going to do a little bit here on the back lines. Sorry, it took me a while to finish that thought. Okay. You know what, actually I want a little bit more on this side. Okay. Code switching happens when you have a bilingual person that automatically switches into different languages to match the person they're speaking. I think it could also apply to accents too, probably. Yeah, probably. Okay. So next, we're going to mix a little bit of cadmium yellow and some more white. And we're going to make even lighter orange. I'm just going to try to pick up the rest of the cadmium yellow that I had there. I might need more cadmium yellow. I don't know what's going on with my voice. It just all of a sudden got scratchy. Which normally I like when it gets scratchy like this, but maybe not when I'm streaming, you know. Okay. I want this to be much lighter. Hang on. I want this to almost be yellow. So, well, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm going to make this. I'm adding more yellow. I'm adding more yellow. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this. I'm going to just mix it into my yellow. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with these two. So now I've got this very, very light yellow orange and this kind of creamy, pinkish, peachy kind of orange. We'll just pick a new space. If we need clean yellow, we'll pick a new space. Since I just mixed up that yellow. All right, so I'm going to take this lighter orange and I'm going to come in and do my center again. This time though, I'm not going all the way to the outside. This time I'm going to leave a little bit of a rim. also, I'm going to take this same color and do like a little bit of on the side here. Like just a little bit of highlighting. It looks like our light source is coming from this angle. Put some more here. Now I'm doing kind of streaky like lines. Rather than letting it be like a solid color. Okay, and then this one, kind of the same thing. We're going to leave a little rim. Trying to go around my apple. I'm picking up a little more water because it was starting to dry brush. That's good that you love linguistics, though. I think Crixano said that he felt like he was talking a little bit too much about linguistics, but he loves it. But, you know, that's really great to have a passion like that. There's nothing wrong with that. I think linguistics is very interesting, but I'm more into, like, you know, the accents and things like that. But also, like, the development of words over time. That's kind of what I'm into. Okay. Now we're going to take our yellow. I'm going to come over here. And we're going to, at the very edge, the rim, we're going to go around and paint a border around the outside. And this is a little too watery. So I'm going to actually clean my brush, wipe it off a little bit, and then pick up my color again because it's just more watery than I want it to be. Still watery. Man, yellow is not great for coverage. So we might just have to do 2 coats. That's okay. I don't know why I keep going to just habit to wash my brush off. So I'm just going around the edge. All right, then what we're going to do is we're going to actually put a little dot right in the middle, or like what the middle of the orange would be, and we're going to have our little sections come out. So very thin lines. Where it's radiating out. Okay. Crixano said, you're more knowledgeable in the structure of languages and morphology and syntax, trying to get into the semantics. So you just bought some books by Noam Chomsky, Chomsky, sorry, who created Transformational and Generative Grammar, among other things, as well as some other books. Interesting. Yeah, I actually haven't read any Chomsky. I probably should, but I ended up doing a little bit. I'm gonna take some of this light orange. I just went over just a little bit, so I'm gonna actually do some like clear up some of my little sections here. All right. That washed it out a little bit, but I'm going to be going back in and putting that yellow back in there. All right. Let's do the same with this one. I'm going to pick up my yellow. This time I remember to dry my brush first. So that's good. I'm going to go just around the outside, the rim. You only got his linguistics books. You don't think his political books? Yeah. I don't know much about any of them, to be honest. He's 91, huh? I didn't actually know he was still alive, so there's that. All right. So we've got our center here. We're going to find our center. It's right about there. And then we're going to radiate out. I'm going to do one line kind of coming up. And my line is going on a little bit thick. So I'm wiping my brush off because I guess I just picked up too much paint earlier. I want my lines to be a little thinner. I keep picking up too much paint. I can already tell you, I don't think this is going to be one of my better paintings, honestly. I don't do a whole lot of still lifes. I mean, that's probably why. You know, practice makes perfect, and I don't practice still lifes very often. So they're not usually my best. It's not usually my best work. You know, it's more practice, right? But yeah, I can already tell that this is not happening the way I would like it to. I mean, it looks okay. My paintings always look okay because, I mean, I've been painting for 30 years. You would think that they'd at least look decent even if I wasn't good at a particular method. But yeah, I'm particularly not good at this. Okay, that's all right. You know, it's good to know your strengths and your weaknesses. All right, I'm going to come in here and just do some streaky lines. And I'm just letting it kind of, I did not wet my brush first. So I'm just letting it kind of take the painting wherever it takes it. I'm not trying very hard. Now there is like a little section up here. Where the stem is going to be. So I want to make sure I get that. Well, thank you. Crixano. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. All right. Let's see. We do have a little bit here. Not much. Just a little. Little highlight. All I did just now is I'm using a clean brush. So I'm wiping off any paint and I'm drying it. And then coming in and just catching my edges. And what that does is that blends. It blends my edges. So then that way it gives it a more, well, blended look. There you go. Okay. You're supposed to get 3 more linguistics books, but they're delayed until Monday. Ah. Yeah, the delay in shipping lately. I mean, I understand why there's a delay in shipping, but yeah, that's been causing some issues for me. Like I said, I have like some paint on back order. All right. We're going to actually pick up, I'm going to mix this right on my palette. I'm going to pick up some white. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of this yellow. Oops. I'm going to get a little more white. I wanted that to be more white, but I accidentally grabbed some extra yellow. Then I'm going to come over just part of these lines. Oops, that went a little too far. That's okay. I'm not doing the whole line. Just kind of radiating out from the center. And I'm going to put a little bit of white right in the middle. Oops. That is like super bright. That was not what I wanted. We're just going to mix just a tiny bit of yellow in there. Okay. There's that. Then I'm going to take a little bit of this and put just right in the center here. And remember my technique of blending, where I wash off my brush first to make it clean. I dry it, and then I just feather the edges. I'm just feathering the edges. But see how that built that up to where we've got one much lighter part, then a medium part, you know, and it gets darker. That's how that works. Okay, I'm going to use a little bit of this in the center of this guy here. And do the same thing, like spokes on a wheel. I'm going to do a little bit of the pure white right in the center. But this time I didn't get as much. Then let's see, is there anywhere else? Yes. On our apple, we have this shiny part right here. And it's kind of in the shape of like a triangle. Let's see, and then there's like this little, I don't know what shape that would be. And then there's 2 little marks here. I'm just looking at the reference photo. I'm mixing a little more white in here for the apple. And that gives it the appearance of being kind of shiny. All right. Now we need to start adding a little bit of red into our apple. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna mix a little bit of this color here. Well, do I want to mix that or I want to mix this? Let's do this. We're gonna test. We're gonna see. So I'm gonna put some of that right in the middle, and I'm gonna grab some of my red. And we're gonna see what that looks like. Red is a very vibrant color. Oh, but it's not. I didn't have enough. Hold on. Sorry, I didn't have enough. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna mix a little bit of, actually a decent amount of our red into this orange color. Yeah, that's pretty good. It makes it kind of a pinkish color. I like that. All right, it's probably time for a new napkin, I would say. Look at this. Yeah. Told you we were going to go through a few napkins today. Hope everybody's having a good day. Good Saturday. All right, I'm going to pick up a little bit of red. And I'm going to come in. I'm going to try to be careful not to catch my the yellow lines that I have. I'm going to try to go around those. And then the bottom is going to actually be kind of shaped with this red. So I'm coming in, and like I said, I'm just using like really streaky lines, just trying to get in and around my the highlights that I've done. And you might ask, why are we going this opposite direction? That's a really good question. I don't know. The lesson plan, I didn't write the lesson plan, but this isn't terrible. This isn't a bad thing. So because what ends up happening, so we're going to do our rim on this side. It does end up looking kind of more realistic, I think. Like right now, I'm thinking this is looking like pretty apple-like, honestly. All right. How am I going to do this? So like on this other side here, I don't want to lose my streaks. So I'm going to just try to very carefully come down. I'm doing like a downward stroke. There. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm noticing this isn't blended very well here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit of this lighter orange, do some lines, do a couple lines here, wipe off my brush, and since that red is still a little bit wet, I'm going to blend that. grab some of that lighter, this lighter yellow. And now I'm going to blend that. Now I can pick up a little more of my red. There we go. That's a little better. It was like kind of some really stark lines at the bottom, and I don't like that. Do the same over here. There. That's better. That looks more apple-like. Okay. Now we want to make an even darker color. So how we're going to do that is we are going to pick up a little bit of this same red, like this same red here. I'm just going to put a little over here. And then I'm going to pick up some of my burnt umber. We don't need much. I'm just darken that up. Yeah, that's nice. It's like, is it really a great color, like just as far as colors go? I mean, I guess, I don't know. All colors are beautiful, whatever. But this particular color is, I guess it's kind of a southwest. I can see that. It's kind of a southwest red. Anyway, this is our dark color. So we're going to come in here. We're going to come over on this side and do like, this is our shadow side. And it's going to come around the back. And I'm starting to lose a little bit of my, I'm going to come in here and repaint some of my stuff from the middle there. Like where the stem is coming out of, maybe. Let's see. We're going to have one line of dark coming down the right side. All right, I need to blend this before it dries. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll do my line of dark. All I'm doing is taking my clean brush, like I've shown you, and just going up into that dark color a little bit and just kind of letting it blend down. Okay. Just feathering it a little bit. All right, let's do our line of dark color. So let's see. I'm trying to be very careful. Now I'm going to blend this. So I'm going to pick up a little tiny bit of that previous red that I made and just come in right at the edge of this. So it's not a hard line. Like that. And actually, I'm going to come up a little bit from the bottom here too. Because it would be probably dark down here at the bottom. You know, apples kind of get dark. It's their dark side. You know, apples have a dark side too. Trees are murderous. Apples have dark sides. Like, all these things you don't really know about plants. You should check it out. Plants can be, I'm picking up just a little bit of pure burnt umber, and I'm going to come in right on the very side. Just on the left side. And just blend that in. There. There we go. Okay. So, I'm feeling pretty good about the apple. I'm going to let it dry. Oh, you know what? I might actually, hold on. Right here, I am going to paint just a little more yellow, just so I have a little bit bigger space here for my stem. So all I'm doing is painting a little bit thicker line of this kind of yellowy color. And then I'm just going to let it radiate out a little bit. And that's where our stem is going to come from. It's right in the middle there. Okay, so what else do I want to do? We do need a little bit. I'm going to mix a little bit of this with some orange. And I'm going to come in here on the left side. This is our dark side. And that's not working. Hold on. I might need to mix a little bit more red in there. Maybe a little bit of this dark red. Ooh. What if we did that? What if we mixed that with the orange? A little bit of the dark. Maybe our oranges have a dark side too. You have to watch those oranges. Okay, I've got way too much paint on my brush, so I'm going to wipe that off first and then pick up a little bit of this. Okay. So I'm coming in on the left side. Yeah, there we go. That wasn't what I wanted to happen. Hold on. All right. I made a mess. See this red paint here? I just accidentally put my finger down on the canvas. So here's what I'm doing. I'm getting water on it before it completely dries. And I'm going to try to get it up. Now, we're going to be painting the plate, so I can paint over it. So it's not that big of a deal, but still. Try to get as much as you can. Otherwise, you're going to do the same thing like what happened with the orange, where we're having to paint over it a bunch. Okay. This is more than I wanted here. I did not want this much. So I'm going to, it's still wet. So I'm going to come in and just feather it and blend it. There. I'm also cleaning up the shape of my orange because I feel like it was maybe a little misshapen. So that's why I'm coming in with this darker color as well. All right. Then I want to do just a little bit of the rim at the bottom here. And that kind of separates it too from the other orange. I'm cleaning this up because over painted. Okay. Let me also see if I can darken, not darken, but make this a little bit more opaque, the yellow. I've got some of this yellow left. So I'm just going to touch up that. Maybe pick up a little bit of white in there. That was too much. And somehow some blue or something got on my painting. I don't actually know what that's about, but who knows? It's right there, but I'm not going to mess with it. Leave it alone. That's what I'm going to do. Leave it alone. Okay, now remember we had done this white, so I'm not going to paint all the way to the center. I'm just coming over some of these lines to make them crisper. Because yellow is pretty translucent, which means that it makes it really hard to cover. You have to do multiple coats. So this is like our second coat. Well, it's not like our second coat. It is our second coat. I need to be more precise with my language. I'm realizing. Because I say things sometimes. I'm very hyperbolic when I speak. And so I say things sometimes and then I realize I have to kind of reevaluate what I said. I guess that is kind of a form of backpedaling. Didn't think about that. So maybe I do backpedal. I don't know. Maybe I should just think about what I say first before I say it. How about that? All right. So now I'm going to fix up this one. Same thing. I'm just doing a second coat. I'm not going to mess with the white in this one. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm not going to mess with it. I'm just going to paint the yellow on. White, it has really good coverage usually. So if you mix it with other colors, it makes them have better coverage. What I mean by coverage is that, you can cover within one coat rather than having to have multiple coats. Better. I'm liking this. I'm liking it better than I was before, that's for sure. All right. Man, look at this messy bowl. Let's paint the bowl. How about that? I am going to go ahead and catch. This should be dry here now. So I'm going to take just pure burnt umber and paint just a little stem. Going to curve just a little bit. That's it. Nothing exciting. All right. I'm still not like super fan of the oranges. The oranges, there's something up with those. Like maybe they're just not the right color or something. I don't know. But maybe once we get the bowl in, because the bowl's gray, and so there's a chance that it's going to help kind of make things look better. All right. So let's get the bowl. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some burnt umber and and some titanium white. And this will actually make kind of a grayish color. It's a brown, but it's a grayish. We could mix a little tiny bit of blue in there and that would gray it up a little more. I might do that actually. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Remember our backgrounds? I'm gonna actually mix a tiny bit of red and a tiny bit of blue in this. Not much, I mean at all, not much, but we're gonna make this slightly purple. And then that'll kind of go with our background as well. How about that? Veering off of the lesson plan, so I mean, tiny bit. Hardly any. Red and blue are very dominant too, like in color, so we don't need very much at all. So that, look how much that pinked that up, just with that tiny little bit of red. Okay. Then blue, an even tinier amount of blue. Blue is the strongest color of all of our colors here. So there we go. So now we have like a nice purplish gray. Kind of a stone color. All right. So what we're going to do, first and foremost, I want to go ahead and paint. I'm going to use my big brush for this. Yeah, I think so. I'm going to paint, let's see. I'm going to actually mix just a tiny bit of this gray, not much. I'm going to just pick that up and mix that into the white so it's not pure white. And then I'm going to actually paint the whole bowl. You know what? Maybe I do want to use my smaller brush for this. Hold on. I'll just get all the extra off this brush. And I think I'm going to use my smaller brush because there's a lot of crevices to get into and I really don't want to, I don't want to mess this up. Okay. So wipe that off. Get some water on my brush. And pick up that white. Yeah. That way, yeah, that's going to be much better. That way I can get much cleaner lines. So all this was I made this gray up and I mixed just a tiny bit of it with my white. And that is how I got the color that I'm doing now. So like it still looks pretty white, you can see. I'm cleaning up my lines too. Like I'm using this as a chance to like kind of clean up anything that like where I accidentally painted over something or whatever. So I'm trying to go pretty slow so that I get nice, clean, round lines. Now, this is the part where I start having to turn the painting. So that I can get like a better angle. Because for me, you know, being right-handed, sometimes doing things on the right side, I'm like trying to turn against the so it's easier just to I can paint up against the left better than I can the right. So it's easier just to turn the entire thing. This is harder if you're working on something big, but since we only do 9 by 12 in here, not too hard. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn so that I can do this left side. Or, well, it's the right side, but I'm doing it on the left side. I'm dry brushing a little bit, so I'm gonna. When you're doing lines like this where you're getting edges, you really want to have nice, smooth flowing paint. Otherwise, it's going to end up being a mess. So you want to make sure there's plenty of water mixed in. I'm being quiet because I'm concentrating. Concentration for me, it's hard to do when I'm talking. All right. Now I went a little outside of my lines, so here's what I'm going to do. Since it's still wet, I'm going to just clean that up. There we go. So I've turned it right back because I'm now doing the inside. And I just realized I cut off my orange here, but I don't think that's actually where it cut off. I don't know what to do about that. We'll see if we can fix that in a little bit. I'm gonna finish painting my bowl so I get lots of stuff done, because when I get distracted, things get unfinished, and that's not good. I mean, not that I would forget to paint my bowl, probably, because, you know, it's there. But it's good to just stay focused. That's the moral of that story. Okay. So I've got everything painted. Let's figure out where this rim is. Oh man. Oh man. All right. I just got some paint down here on the bottom, and it's probably because it's on the side of my hand, so I'm gonna try to get it off. If I can always paint over it, or it probably isn't even that big of a deal, but I got it off. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, so this rim comes around. Let's get a little bit of the white. So the rim of my plate comes around here. And scoops this way. So I do have a little bit of orange that needs to be filled out. All right, well, We can fix that. I'm positive. I feel confident we can fix that. All right. So I'm just gonna do a second coat over some of these areas where I had to go over darkness. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna take a little bit of this lighter color. Come down here. Then I'm going to take, we've got this darker orange here, which is mostly dry, so probably not going to get much of that. And then we had this very dark color that we did right at the... Close enough. It's good enough. Yeah, it's close enough. That's fine. All right, let's get moving. Let's get back to the bowl. So I have my dark color here. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of this. And now I'm going to do this on the inside of the bowl. So being very careful to go around my... And I'm hoping that the addition of this color is going to make our fruit look a little bit more palatable. Because as it is right now, it doesn't look like fruit I would eat. Maybe the apple. I might eat the apple. These oranges, though, I'd be wary. It's like, those are a little dark. I'm not sure about that. So we'll see. All right. So... on this side, now the rim on the other side is going to look slightly farther away. Like as it comes to us, it's going to look bigger. It's gonna look smaller is what I meant to say. I think I said farther away. That doesn't really make any sense. Of course it looks farther away. It is farther away. I meant it's going to look more narrow. Okay, there's a little bit over here. All right. So we've got that. Now, I need to put some shading on the plate itself. So I'm going to actually pick up some of this color and mix it in with the white. And get a little water. And we're just going to come in. Now, don't go all the way to the rim. We'll leave that. And what I'm doing is I'm going to come in. Also, don't go all the way to the other side either. All right. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of pure white. Well, not pure white, but and just mix it right in the middle here. Let's see. There we go. So I'm letting this go all the way around and kind of coming down at an angle, like it will taper off, basically. And I got a little bit of paint here, and I don't want that there, so it's cleaning up that edge. All right. I'm getting a little bit more of this dark color. And then a little bit more of the white. And I just kind of go back and forth until I get it to look the way I want. I want it to look rounded. I want it to look like it's got like kind of round streaks in it. Let's put a little bit in the middle over here. Just gives it a little bit of depth. There we go. It's just a little something. All right, I'm gonna mix in a tiny bit of this color right in here. Just so we get, I'm drying off my brush and doing like a little bit of blending. Let's see, I can add a little bit of the gray and blend that. And that just gives like the appearance that there is depth in the bowl. So we just put a little bit of the lighter color there. Again, I'm just drying off my brush and blending it. And let's see. I think over here I'm going to leave it dark, and in fact, I'm going to put a little bit of this here because this orange should be casting a shadow. So I'm going to just make that dark like that. Cleaning up my edges. All right, now I'm going to mix in a little bit of burnt umber with my gray and make like an even darker color. And I'm going to come in and do some of this. Oh, that's not as dark as I wanted it. There we go. I'm going to come in here because all of this stuff would be in shadow. So that's dark over there. And then there's also darkness right here, because this one is casting a shadow. Really helps here to have a little water on your brush so it blends easier. All right. I'm putting a little bit of my lighter gray. I'm going to come in and get too much water. I'm just going to actually mix some more of this dark color. I'm just bringing a little bit of my lighter color because it was starting to blend over. Okay, so there we go. There we go. I'm just getting a little bit of my white and cleaning that up there because, there we go. Let's see. That looks pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that. And actually it did make the colors jump out a little bit more. Now, I got a lot of water here. I'm going to actually do a little bit more background stuff because it was a little janky over on this side. So remember we did our painting. I'm going to pick up some red. Oops, not enough red. All right, here we go. Pick up a little brown. Now this particular brown has a lot of yellow in it, so that actually mixes even more. And remember this little spot down here that I messed up? Yeah, we're going over that. We are going over that. So right now all I'm doing is cleaning up because we're pretty much done. Remember, I wanted my little red spot down here, so that's why I'm doing that. Try not to get too close to my plate, though, because I don't want to have to redo that. That was a mess. All right, that's pretty good. That looks nice. And I'm just going to crisscross a little bit over here, get extra paint off my brush, and at the same time it kind of blends things so when it dries it'll look nice and leathery. Okay, I'm done. Cleaned off my brush. All right, since I just painted this, I'm not going to sign it just yet, so we'll do our review first. So just a reminder for everyone, and I got paint on my desk, so I'm going to have to clean that off. The best way to clean paint off of your desk is with a little bit of rubbing alcohol. Or you can use, I know this is going to sound weird, but you can use salt. You can take salt and just kind of rub it. Let's see. See this paint right here? Like I could take salt and just like rub it on there and it actually will clean that off. So that's an idea. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Not my finest work. I told you it probably wouldn't be. because still lifes, I'm still getting better at those. I don't have a lot of practice with those. Not as much as I have with like landscapes and stuff. My favorite part of this is definitely the apple. I think that apple looks pretty real. The oranges need some more work. I could continue doing layering, and I might actually do that. I might continue just layering them. I mean, they look okay, but definitely not. Like, I feel like this whole inner part should be more yellow, especially if you look at the reference. Let's look at the reference drawing. So you can see, like in the reference photo here, see how yellow that is in the center there? So I think I could just make my stuff a little more yellow. Now we were making up some bits because see how the apple is on top here, the orange is on top? Well, I thought that didn't look very good. So I've got, I put them down in the bowl, but that means that I had to kind of construct it a little bit differently. So this orange looks a little lopsided, so I probably need to continue working on the shape of that. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Now, I normally will sign it. So here, let's see if it's dry. It looks dry. I'm going to sign it in gold so that you can see the name. I use paint pens. You can buy these at like Michael's or something. In fact, I think this is a Michael's brand. But they're just paint, like the kind you shake, and like have to push down until like it starts flowing. So what I need to work on is the oranges, and just making those look a little bit more realistic, a little more yellow on the front. Let's see. Other than that, I like the background a lot. It seems this is a little small, so like next time I do it, I might actually make this take up more of the painting. I think I just did it too small to begin with, so that would actually help as well. And then all my fruit might actually fit down in the bowl, like it. But anyway, I call it a success. I think it looks all right. If you follow this painting along with me, you're welcome to join the Discord and upload a picture of your painting and we can talk about it. I can give you feedback. Otherwise, have a fantastic weekend. I have my crochet class on Tuesday, same time on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Pacific. And there you go. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.